I think that she's so filled with rage and so filled with sexual rage because of what you will find out later. And it's not a trick or a device that you don't find out for a long time. It's only because she can't get to it. She can't get to it. She can't see it. She won't see it. And so we see all these actions, but we don't know why, you know, and that's sort of the drive of the narrative. I was really trying to explore what narrative was and how you could make it work again for real. And so that's part of, you know, you don't understand why and you need to, you know.
And she had abortions as a child?
Yes. Yes.
Teens, how old she was?
Terrible.
14, 16,
right.
She was having a series of abortions, and yet she was alone.
Right. Violence against the body again. You know, there's a lot of violence in the book.
Of course, I think at the end you explain why this girl became what it was, and probably that is why she's excused. I think in the reader's point of view, she becomes an excused and therefore a saved person, even though she was.
Right, and hopefully not just one reason, but the accumulation of, you know, the accumulation over time, which fiction does best. You know, that kind of a novel does best. Then this layer, then that happened.
The fact that she communicates with numbers. Obviously, we haven't said that she's also a mute. We don't know at the moment why she becomes a mute. She becomes, she says, mute of her own volition.
Right.
So therefore, we know, we have to know why she does that. But she becomes mute, and the numbers are her only way of communication. But then we find out that she had a very bad experience with her mother at the telephone company.
Yes.
What happened? What is that little incident which reminds you in the reader's mind for a long time, which reflects today's problems we are having with society about the boss abusing the mother? Right.
Well, again, you know, I think the predicament of her working class background, there's no, I mean, this is some time ago anyway, but there's no question that there will be child care or that the family can afford to do this. And so the child is taken to work with the mother and witnesses a terrible scene of humiliation, a boss humiliating her mother while the child hides under the table because she's not supposed to be at work, you know. But the thing that...
Obviously, this affects her personality in the future. This is one of the reasons.
And one of her, the ways she is initially wed to numbers, her mother is reciting numbers all day into the receiver. She's a telephone operator. And this is one of the first ways in which, you know, Bernadette tries to escape through making the numbers do something for her.
And it starts from there, probably. Aside from being a genius, it's a way of coping with some experience, early experiences she had that cannot deal with. There are many things that she cannot deal with at the moment. For example, the relationship with the brother.
Yes.
That is an experience which is so dark that she doesn't want to reveal it. And yet at the end she comes out some sort of resolution there, either accepting or letting us son understand that life goes on. But she suffered for 20 or 30 years over that.
Exactly.
What happened to the brother? That is another very serious and very damaging experience.
She idolized her brother, and he was her only really real ally in a family and a community where she had no one else. And the brother as well, in the end, leaves her and is killed almost immediately in the Vietnam War, which he volunteers for. It again goes back to another working class predicament of, you know, volunteering for a war, especially an unpopular war like that, where everyone was doing sort of the opposite.
Bernadette cannot accept the fact that the government killed the brother.
It's another strain there, though of course the brother is problematic in Bernadette's life as well.
Yeah, that,
you know, so it's from every angle.
What happened to him?
From every angle.
That is another very alarming.
Yeah, it is, and you know, it feels that.
And this happens daily. You can read it on the newspaper about the fact that he was raped, violently raped by a priest. Is that what
Right,
happened?
right. So it's sort of, I mean, everything happens in this book. It sort of was my book to try to push all of this over the top and see where it would go. Try to make a kind of opera of it.
Yeah, you are now sort of telling us how you wanted to put it together. Does the fact that you teach creative writing has anything to do with knowing how to put together a novel or a poem, a novel in this instance?
Yeah, I wish it did.
What comes first? Yeah.
I wish it did. You know, I always think that actually teaching as much as I do and looking at other people's work, that I might understand more or be able to skip a few steps in my own. But in fact, I set challenges for myself that I've never done in the book before, and so it's like starting over. It's like, you know, again. The only thing that I've gained over the last 15 years of writing seriously every day is that I can sit down and within 5 minutes be there. You know, I don't need to take any time in order to get to the work itself. And now with a baby, it's a good thing because I need to be there in that way.
Can you now say that the work is actually feeding you, or?
Feeding me in the
personal sense, and don't need to
in the economic sense.
Yeah.
Unfortunately not. You know, I feel like I've never made compromises with these books, and I won't write the book. That this one was considered way too dark for a film, for instance, and way too dark for
eventually something could become.
Someday.
There's no action. You know, it's a European intellectual in that sense, but then there's the American violence, which is both on both sides of the continent, the ocean.
Yeah.
We will continue with the brother. For example, there is the symbol of the ring. She keeps that ring, and we don't know exactly. We surmise. We think what could have happened there.
Right.
What is the dark news or the dark happening that is in fact happened there? What has happened that she cannot deal with?
Do you think I should say these things for people who haven't read the book? I feel the ring is very central.
Well,
I feel
probably
like
people who listen to our program or see our program may be enticed to go and buy it and read it. But obviously, this is an intellectual conversation.
Right. I do feel that the ring is central. It passes hands. It has meant something over time, and in the end, there's been a wedding that has been staged between the brother and the sister, in a way, and it's a wedding that she enacts when she's murdering one of her students as well. And so it keeps recurring in different, strange, very terrible, very, to me, haunting ways.
It is haunting.
Yeah.
It is.
The brother was engaged to someone, and she did not show up the night before he was to go to the war.
She resents that
and
also.
And he gives the ring to his sister.
There's another incident there with one of the cellmates, Beatrice.
She actually is a social worker. She's not a prisoner.
Okay.
Yeah.
What happened there? That's also very moving. And
yeah, I mean, I think
these are abuses that eventually pile up, and you begin to say, at least I began to say, you know, this has to change. It cannot go on, and therefore this is the indictment I was saying before against men. Is it possible that we so callously use or abuse people that we are supposed to love?
Yeah.
And here is she was raped, right? This Beatrice.
Beatrice, as she's a young black social worker at the time that Bernadette meets her, but earlier on, you know.
These abuses now get cumulative, right?
Exactly.
So it doesn't have to be only Bernadette's, but it becomes the society itself.
Exactly, and there are waves and waves of them. I see the book as a sort of series of intensities rather than a normal narrative in a way. You know, it's just one on top of another, building into a sort of ringing almost, something that reverberates in a different way than most novels do. You know, the hope was to not for someone to close the book and say, I can't take any more of this is preposterous, but to write it in such a way that it's coming in these sort of building waves.